Hey, greetings, Blade fans. OG Blade Reviews back with you once again. And I've got my second favorite knives for 2024. Yes, we're a little over a week into 2025, so Happy New Year. And if you see this next New Year, well, happy that New Year too for 2026. I don't want to say 2026 is going to get everybody confused, and YouTube's going to pick up and put it in the subtext and descriptions and so on and so forth. Anyway, blah blah blah. I decided to go fixed blade next. I went with the budget to mid-level folders first, and next up is going to be the high-end folders favorite for 2024. Here, you're going to see my 5 favorite fixed blades that either came out or I was introduced to in 2025. If I was introduced to them, they're generally a custom knife. If I picked it up and it was a commercially made knife, then they were introduced in 2024. That's my reasoning anyway. That's my logic. So there is also going to be one honorable mention here. And before I even get to that point, I'm going to say that don't take offense if your knife isn't in here, because if I've got to restrict it to 5, I have to say that 2024 was a big year for me picking up many, many fixed blades. And it was a tough decision to give you 5 of them. And except for one, they're not budget knives, okay? But I made sure I included one budget knife in here, and you can probably determine after a recent review on it which one it is. But here are the 5 that I selected. And again, I'm going to get to one honorable mention. And if I make an honorable mention, it means this is all my opinion. This is all my use. This is what fits my hands and fits my use and kind of my design inclinations. That's what is putting these knives in front of you at this moment. You may have a completely different selection that you choose, and you would be rightful in picking those. You might agree with a few of my choices here, however, and I'm going to do my best to tell you why I picked these out. Let's pick one to begin. 2 of these knives are going to be tied, I believe, for my favorite knife of 2024, my absolute favorite over everything else. And, I guess I'll start with the TKELL Agent 001. This was the first in a line of what is now 6 or 7, because I know that they skipped the number getting to the 007, designed by Tommaso Las from Tactical Tavern. But this is a design by Bob DeMarco, good friend of mine and fellow YouTuber. The knife junkie, Bob DeMarco, co-designed this with Tim Kell of TKELL Knives. This is the first in the Agent series. The handle and the series were so popular that Tim decided to make a run of them, and there's the 002, the 003, the 004, 005. I don't think there's a 6, or maybe there is, but there's definitely a 007, which is the Tanto by Tomas Alas collaboration. This one checks so many boxes because, first of all, it's carryable. It's small, but look at that. Fits the hand perfectly with just enough left over. This beautiful bird's beak pommel. This is what I'd call the perfect tactical EDC because it is equal parts tactical, meaning you can hold this in pical. It's a double edge. There is a single edge option. You can cap that nicely jimped pommel, and it is perfect for pical. You don't need a hooked blade necessarily to become a pical blade. Comes in a variety of handle colors and designs. This one is not the denim, I don't think, although it could be the denim. I think the denim's a little lighter. Anyway, blue is what was provided to me for review by TKELL. Much appreciated. And I love the platform that you've got a place for your thumb that doesn't stick you on top of the double edge with your thumb if you want to do this, right? Or hold it tight like this if you want to hold it like that. We've got this three generous finger grooves, I guess I'll call them, that fit just about any hand. It is thick enough so that although it's not a very tall handle, you still have a very solid grip if you roll into that. I do tend to prefer a little taller handle, and we'll get to that in a moment. All the TKELL knives come with much more than adequate sheaths, with a jimped ramp here for push off, solid no rattle retention, thick kydex, many different mounting options. Most of them are coming through by default with this belt clip, horizontal belt clip, which is perfect. It's fine. Fits on the outside of the belt. There are DCC options and ulti-clip options that can put it inside of a pocket inside the pants. This could carry nicely inside the pocket because you can thumb it off while it's still in the pocket. If you're willing to risk perhaps slashing the pocket a little bit on the way out in a hurry, it could be worn with a static line. Lots of different options for carry. It is a thick stock. This knife was reviewed by an Italian combatives instructor who absolutely loved it. It's his favorite knife now, and he devastated some targets with it in multiple technique slashing and stabbing maneuvers. But still, it is a very adequate EDC knife. You can do your point work with it, no problem, about really slightly above 45 to engage that point. It's an equal grind, flat and equal on both edges. And they come in both 80 CRV2 or AEBL options. If you need a stainless option, AEBL. All TKELL knives are coated with nickel boron, which means that even if you have a carbon steel, high carbon steel, it is not going to rust because of that like 70 HRC coating on these knives. And I could go on the whole review with that knife, but let's step away from the Agent 001 and go to next up, which is the VSK-1, a new designer to me, a custom designer, custom maker, handmade knives. He gets them blanked out, and then he does the hand grinding and all the other work and the sheath work himself. He makes this fantastic pouch style sheath with a Tracker Dan style clip. It is a DCC branded clip that he gives you, and he does lots of work on the sheaths. He actually dropped and this is Michael Grasso, by the way, of Armis Knives. He dropped a video on making the sheaths recently, and it was a tremendous video. And I had asked for that sheath in particular with the what he calls the topo or topographical design that you saw. This is in some regards similar to certain other knives. Some people say it looks like a compliance edge knife. To a degree it does, with a certain triangular shape. Some say it has some of the features even of the Agent 001. But I'm not going to get into my rant about who's copying who or who's imitating who. I think all knife designers take their design cues from so many different other makers and so many other actually even production designs that it's really hard to say, which came first, the chicken or the egg. What if you make a Wharncliffe? That's a traditional design, goes back to Lord Wharncliffe, with the sloping top and the straight edge and so forth. And so many designs have aspects of that. And I think that's what we have to talk about, aspects. You know, how much of the handle, did he vary the handle, so on and so forth. A clone is a clone, and you'll recognize a clone because it's an exact copy of something else. But if design features are borrowed, imitated, or what have you, it's because they work, you know, they work. Look at the auto industry. Tell me that they're not imitating aspects of other cars out there, or trucks, or what have you. All right, said I wouldn't get onto a rant, and there was a short rant. Beautiful knife because he drops the top, he raises the bottom. You got ever so slight a belly there for your cutting chores, a beautifully piercing point, and a thick stock that's coming in around, I believe, 4 millimeters. G10 handles, lots of handle options. I think he also does micarta, but I'm not sure. Again, that is Michael Grasso. I think I might have called him Michael Jarvis from time to time, because that's another Michael in the knife industry from Auxilliary Manufacturing in Reno, Nevada. This steel happens to be AEBL. Everything he makes is out of AEBL. He feels it's a really nice compromise steel. This is not a coating. This is a dark wash finish. Very nice, because no matter how hard you use it, that's going to be hard to show up the wear marks, at least in the beginning of your use. We've got a double finger swale or groove in the middle, and your other 2 fingers will fit nicely right there. Caps beautifully for picao, although we don't have a top edge. But, you know, he might even consider giving you a top edge if you wanted to go custom, totally custom on this. These are running $250, so it's not cheap. It is a custom knife. Removable screws here. Got nice rock pattern on the handle. All in all, another really good EDC Tactical, I would call it, from a relatively new maker. I say relatively new. I think he began in 2017, but he's really ramping up his designs and coming out with some new models for 2025. But that I picked up in 2024. Going to skip over to one. And here we have the Williams. That is Chris and his father, James Williams. James Williams being a very famous sword user, Iaido master, and tactical instructor for many different law enforcement and government agencies, many of which he can't name because it's highly undercover kind of a stuff. This is a larger version of a knife I already had the previous year, the Osoraku Zukuri Mini Kaiken. This is the Osoraku Zukuri Kaiken. This is a 4.5-inch blade. The Mini was a 3.5-inch blade. And wow, I mean, if you like the Japanese style Tanto style knives, and yes, this is closest to an original Tanto than the Americanized Tanto invented by Lynn Thompson of Cold Steel in the early 80s. And I was reviewing those knives for Inside Kung Fu Magazine and Karate Illustrated back in the early to, I think it was 86. I reviewed a lot of Lynn Thompson's Tantos. This is more traditional because we have a handle that mimics the wrapped handles of the original Tantos. They use grooves instead. This is made by Lion Steel in Italy, and it is, as you can see, from MagnaCut. Lion Steel puts their MagnaCut at about 60-61, I believe. There was a whole spec sheet that came out from Lion Steel because they were getting criticized for not making their MagnaCut and other steels, M390, hard enough. It seems like the hardness game, that's a whole thing now, like the steel game was, and so forth. Laren Thomas, Knife Steel Nerds, the guy who invented MagnaCut, goes on record on a video, it's on my channel if you go to my main page, that what counts more than blade steel or hardness is edge geometry and edge design. That's what's going to hold your sharpness most. Not so much hardness, not so much blade steel. And you can take a budget steel and with the proper profile and ergos on the blade, or different aspects of the grind of the blade, and of course the sharpening, that's going to give you a superior edge. So you can argue that, but that comes from the man who invented this steel and is a metallurgist. I'll leave it at that. How about slippage? A lot of guys won't buy a knife that has no guard on it. Well, you could argue that this has a slight swale in the middle to hold onto the hand, and it is very, very grippy. I have tested these style knives, particularly the mini Kaiken that has even smaller handle, by TKELL jamming it into plywood, and I have not slipped. There are videos of James Williams taking his, I believe it was his Columbia River versions of this style knife, and punching them through a car hood and punching them into a hard archery target. No slip. One of the keys he gives is on the thrust, if you're holding this way, that you put the pommel into the palm so that this goes directly into the palm and there is no slippage. And he said this is also an excellent way to thrust because it's very difficult for an opponent to block it. This is a completely encapsulated tang, goes all the way out to the end here. You have 3 screws, one of which is called the Emperor node. Notice how that screw is above the rest of the flat screws, so that when it's in the right hand, the middle finger can touch it and you know the blade orientation. That's necessary when you have a completely neutral handle. But it's up to you. If you feel you need a guard, there are plenty of knives out there with either a built-in guard, like we have here with the handle configuration, and here, and here. And, if that's your way to go, you feel secure with that, definitely do it. However, there are those of us that feel that we can handle this sort of a handle. That is the Williams, made by Lion Steel in MagnaCut, Osoraku Zukuri Kaiken. And I picked that up for about $250. Yeah, it is a production knife. The sheath is beautiful as well. Comes with the horizontal scout carry belt loop and a push-off, very well made sheath. And it's made by the same company, I forget the name, as his custom knives. I believe in Croatia. Okay, let's get this big boy in the middle. And relative to the other ones, except maybe the length of the Williams, this is larger. I just picked this up at the end of December 2024 from Station 9. And I learned about Station 9 out in Montana from Bob DeMarco, the knife junkie. He had Val West interviewed on his channel. And I put that up on the individual review of this. There is a link to that podcast, about an hour-long interview with Val West. They take their knife designs from older World War II and World War I military designs. Station 9 is a name that echoes, I believe, a British Secret Service agency that predated the M5, is it? Probably have that wrong. They're CIA, basically. This knife was inspired, I think, part by Fred Perrin, and they do have some of his designs with a hole in the middle. The what the heck is it again? I'll remember the name, maybe later. Anyway, this is the Model 12 Undercover. And you can see that it's a Persian sort of a design. It does have a very good stop here for the finger and an ample ramp with lots of good jimping for your thumb. The beautiful thing I like about it is 80 bucks and $10 shipping makes it a $90 knife. You can hang on to it beautifully. I like the tall handle, like I was saying. This is great for concealment. This is flat for concealment, but does have a tall handle that fits beautifully into the hand for security. And you're looking at this serration on top of the blade. Of course, you could use that to cut things that are difficult to cut, like strapping and cording and so forth. But put it in point down, edge in, and you've got that edge in. And there is your pierce and rip for TKELL, for your Libre fighting, Ed Calderon style, what have you. It is equally proficient as a slasher, a thruster, and a TKELL ripper. 80 bucks, and the steel is VG10, a good steel, not high end, but even with daily EDC use, that edge is going to hold up. Just sharpen it, guys. Many of you out there know how to sharpen your blades. Just put it to the stone, put it to the diamond, put it to ceramic, whatever you need. Put it on a strop. It is sharp out of the box, and you can make it even sharper with a little bit of your own handiwork on there. So again, kind of a dark wash on this one, stone wash. You get one of these and put it in your hand, you'll know what I mean. It is a multi-purpose knife for sure. And since I put this review out, they've been flying off the shelves at Station 9. So if you like that knife, grab one soon before they run out. I don't know what their inventory is like. All right, we're down to the last one, aren't we? And if you need to know more about any one of these, there are individual reviews on the OG Blade Reviews channel. That's me. This is a toss-up with the Agent 001 for my favorite knife purchased and introduced in 2024. This is the Viper Handy. Not a very ominous sounding model name, but there you have it. Viper Handy in MagnaCut. And I have to say it is, for the size of the knife, the most ergonomic of the smaller knives, and maybe even of some larger ones. It is a fistful. They have done so many things for about $150 or $60, maybe somewhere in that territory. Depends upon what you get for handles. This is the dark matter fat carbon, and that dark matter is beautiful, but I also have one in Ultim, and they come in a number of natural woods. If you get the natural woods, however, you do not get a Kydex sheath, you get a leather sheath. So, you know, you might want to buy two. I don't know. Get one with the Kydex sheath and one with the wood. You can switch them out. Beautiful push off there. I would say it's probably not as perfect as the TKELL sheaths, but it works. This one happens to be a little tight for some reason. The Ultim comes in and out of the sheath a little easier. You got your double belt loops for horizontal scout carry. You got your one-way snaps, and you can rig this any way you want. Take those off and replace it with any sort of carry hardware you want. Even pocket carry it and put a static line on. Somebody showed me the other day the beautiful thing about the static line, I think it was Vol West, is that you remove the knife from the pocket, the cord is about that long or longer, and so when the knife snaps out of the sheath, it's well away from the body, and there's no danger of cutting yourself. I think it's great. These come through, we're under the camera now, these come through immensely sharp. Just laser sharp. Both of the models that I have, laser sharp. Underneath here is a skeletonized handle, giving you a beautiful balance. It's still ever so slightly handle heavy, so the balance is just about back there. They use jimping in all the strategic places, and it's beautiful file-like jimping. They give you a crowned spine, and they give you a tapered tang. When have I ever seen a tapered tang except on high-end custom knives? Very rarely, if ever. You got a really nice big lanyard hole there. If you need lanyards, might help you out. And the contouring of the handle, beautifully done. You can see this hollow pocket here, the raised ridge here, different out at the pommel. We've got these milled in ridges in the handle. There is not a thing, and this is done by, I think, Fabrizio Silvestrelli is the designer. He's designed a lot of knives for the Italian knife companies, this being one of them. If you put this in your hand, if you got medium large hands to smaller hands, I don't know about real extra large giant mitts, how this would feel, but it feels perfect for me. There's nothing left over at the pommel. It is just feels so tremendously ergonomic with a beautifully useful blade. You can see that flat, high flat grind with a swedge. So it's both tactical and utilitarian. So really a tie for my absolute favorite fixed blade of 2024, the Agent 001 and the Viper Handy. Here is my, what do you call it, runner-up? And that sounds terrible because this man makes beautiful knives, and I've got 3 more of these. This was provided for review by Michael Jarvis of Auxilliary Manufacturing in Reno, Nevada. American-made knives, and this is his coffin handle pocket Bowie. This is the full-size 4-inch, and he recently had a special drop of these style coffin handles in all different sizes and blade styles. Too many to mention here. It is a really solid knife. It is fairly handle heavy, the balance being right about there, actually not too far off from where the Viper was. I don't believe these are skeletonized. He also does these in a really nice Tsukamaki wrap. And it is a slightly upswept Bowie with the point right about just below the top of the handle. This one is in AEBL, I believe. He'll also do knives in maybe ADCRV too. And he used to do them in 1095. I can't really recall. And I know he's done some in, oh God, I can't remember. But check out Michael's website. He is an outstanding maker of knives. I mean, him, Compliance Edge, TKELL knives, and now, of course, Armis cutlery. Bob DeMarco is going to do an interview with Michael Grasso of Armis coming up in next month in February 2024. So just kind of a tip off for you guys there in case you want to see that. I'm going to put them all out here, my 5 main ones, and this beautiful coffin-handled Bowie from Michael Jarvis of Auxilliary Manufacturing. Not my most favorite, but that's a personal choice. So I've got some other knives from Auxilliary that I absolutely love, but I didn't get them this past year, so they didn't make the cut here. Hope you enjoyed this video. Right about now, you're going to see my logo over here, and this is a long video. I realize it because I was waxing on about all of these great blades here. And like I said, 2024 was a big banner year for me picking up fixed blade knives. So there are probably another 5 or 6 that could easily have been out here as well. We're just talking about minute degrees of difference. Don't forget to give this vid a like, and I will see you soon. Be well, take care, enjoy.